Hey, welcome back, Liches. It's difficult to expect your Dungeon Master to weave 5 different player backstories into their campaigns, and it's guaranteed to leave some feeling left out or ultimately unfulfilled.
That's true, and it's not anyone's fault, because campaigns, they're not predetermined stories. And naturally, the spotlight is going to shine brighter on some players' backstories rather than others. That's just the natural ebb and flow of the storytelling and the way that the campaign might go.
Players and DMs alike don't need to feel bad about this. We have a simple fix that'll give everyone a fair shake.
We're throwing it back to old school D&D. We're talking basic D&D, expert rules. We want to dive into those older editions for some help. Because back then, the focus was more on player ambitions and how the party drove the campaign forward with their actions and how they shaped the world. It wasn't so much they're on this big epic quest or maybe following an unrelated adventure path. The absolute easiest way to achieve this is to focus on large-scale endgame goals that are going to be more focused on character motivation rather than backstory. What kind of large-scale endgame goals based on character motivations am I talking about? Give me some examples, Kamo.
A rogue typically wants to become rich while saving the world, but what if they want to lead and operate the Thieves Guilds that takes control of the entire Sword Coast? Or perhaps a warlock. Does the warlock want to eliminate the evil cult? Or maybe she would rather become so influential that she creates her own cult and uses them to remove the opposition.
Be more than the pawn in the game. Be more than the passenger on the train. This is about working hand in hand with your dungeon master to establish clear-cut endgame goals that are going to act as motivations for your character. If you're a dungeon master, have this conversation with your players at early levels or maybe even during session 0. Ask your players what they want their goals to be at the end of the campaign. What do they want to obtain? What do they wish to accomplish? What are you going to do as the career of this adventurer throughout this journey?
If you're a player, when you run into some downtime during the game, like you're at a city, approach your DM and ask them if you can work towards your endgame goal. I want to be leader of the kobolds! Yeah!
Or maybe you're a cleric and you want to just be like, hey, I'm going to go spout my religion to a bunch of people and try to gain some followers.
Try to challenge yourself when coming up with these endgame goals. You're not going to be going into early retirement in Key West making key lime pies.
Yeah, I think at the end of this whole thing, I just want to retire to the Shire and smoke some old Toby. Hey, guess what? You can do that now. You don't need to go on a fucking adventure. One of the primary influences for creating this video was we went through Old School Essentials, which is a modern day reworking of basic and expert rules D&D from back in the 80s. And what we noticed in the class and race features in this book, those being one and the same back in the 80s, once you reached a certain level threshold, you were entitled to an endgame perk, this grandiose reward for surviving that long in these games, because newsflash, old school D&D was incredibly deadly, but if you managed to get a character that lasts to like 8th, 9th, 10th level, you were rewarded with these insane perks like getting a stronghold, or being able to create a mage tower, or have a barbarian horde. Really powerful, sort of influential, game-changing things. You're becoming some of the primary movers and shakers in this world.
Players will be aware of these perks from level 1, and it is something that they will eventually obtain. It's not unknown, it's not a secret. When they reach a specified level, they will get these perks, but it might cost some extra resources. It'll be the player's responsibility to gather, obtain, and build.
Incorporating these rules from Old School Essentials into your 5e campaigns is going to be a game changer. This is going to be drastically different than the normal way that most campaigns sort of play out.
Think about it like this. Your backstory drove your character to become an adventurer, and your endgame goals drive that character to make decisions. This can be a serious shift in playstyle, because once the players start getting these endgame abilities, they'll start affecting the plot, shaping the world, and influencing the people of the realm. But this might actually start helping the plot. It might be easier to start finding plot hooks because your players are deeper into the plot, and now they have side stories that are coming into the main line.
I can hear your questions right now, but Wolf, if we acquire all this cool stuff and their endgame goals, we're never gonna get to use them. What's the point? You know what? You're kind of right. The way we see it, you got two choices. You can convince the dungeon master, hey, we want to continue on in this campaign, but we want to be the powerful baroness. We want to be the leader of the mage tower. I want to rule the thieves guild. And you can be these player characters with insane power throughout the realm. It's going to be tough for your dungeon master to sort of keep up with that, but it is going to really ramp up that level, that tier of play into something insanely different from what you were doing from the previous first 10 levels or so. Your other option is to scrap the campaign, finish it, put a nice bow on it, and everybody is going to agree to start a brand new campaign in the same exact world. But all of your previous player characters are now the NPCs, the movers and shakers. Maybe you're a knight for the baron. Maybe you're an acolyte for the cleric. The people that you were playing before, you're going to run into them, and whoever's the dungeon master moving forward is going to get to use them as pawns and player pieces, and it's going to be so much fun to interact with those previous characters. They're going to have so much more weight than if it's just something that the DM created. This is how it used to work back in the 70s and 80s with Dave Arneson and Gary Gygax. You had Mordenkainen and Big B and Tasha.
Yeah.
All of these characters were player characters.
We think this is the perfect time to utilize these tools to push your players past level 10, level 15, because they're going to need something else to dig their teeth into to make the character feel new to the world, and they will continue those people.
Absolutely. You're going to go from being the people that were diving in disgusting dungeons and doing all the dirty work to holding courts with kings and queens and going to different dimensions, maybe traveling on the astral sea.
Playing the Game of Thrones game.
Yeah, exactly. You're going from peasantry crap to Game of Thrones, just backstabbery and douchebagging. Yeah.
I'm Bilbo Douchebaggins. If you're interested in adding this toolkit to your campaign, you can download the basic and expert versions of Dungeons & Dragons on DriveThruRPG or DM's Guild.
$4.99, what a steal.
Or you can capture the essence of those versions in this modernization, the old school essentials.
Link to these hot things down in the nether realm below. Check it out. We got more options for you. We're gonna get rid of this stuff. Matthew Colville, he has created Strongholds and Followers. This book is amazing if you want to do exactly what we're talking about. Old Matty Colville was ahead of the curve here, and he brought those old school D&D rules into 5e with this book. Ooh, what if we told you that there was a secret Stronghold book that came out with an official D&D release years before Matt Colville cooked up the idea?
Doesn't look like a Stronghold book.
It certainly does not. But I can guarantee you that packed within the pages of Acquisitions Incorporated are in fact rules for running a stronghold, running a business. You do not have to follow the show. You do not have to make it humorous. You can file off the serial numbers and make it your own unique thing. But this right here, this is how you do it. There's simple, streamlined rules that are very, very effective for adding strongholds into your games, even as low as level 1.
Hey, that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to join the Legion, subscribe, Toll the Dead for notifications.
Absolutely. Like this video, we've got plenty more content out there for 5th edition's Dungeons and Dragons. Go ahead and click on this video over here. We got something that we know you're gonna love.
Tons more to come. Later, Liches.
Bye-bye.